A message for the hashtag #MeToo era. Dr. Ramona Probasco speaks from experience about escaping an abusive relationship. Plus, she's been named one of Israel's most influential women. And she's helping Christians and Jews make a difference worldwide. Yael Eckstein joins us live on today's 700 Club Interactive. Well, welcome to the show. Over the next 4 days, we'll be giving you important health discoveries you won't hear anywhere else.
Medical experts recently figured out that our gut and the bacteria in it determines whether we're healthy, sick, skinny, or fat. Lori Johnson explains why these tiny critters living deep within us are key to our well-being and how we can help control them.
The Cleveland Clinic's Dr. Mark Hyman is one of a growing number of physicians who believe the path to wellness lies in our intestines, specifically the relationship between the good and bad bacteria there, something called gut flora or microbiome.
Many of the things floating around in your blood are informational molecules produced by bacteria that control your biology. So that's how the gut microbiome can be linked to everything that's going on with us in terms of chronic disease, from cancer to heart disease to diabetes to dementia to autism to autoimmune disease to depression and much more.
Scientists at America's top medical institutions are churning out mounds of data on the microbiome. The bottom line, as the gut goes, so goes the rest of the body. This is the Mayo Clinic's microbiome lab. Scientists here examine human feces. Sounds a little gross, but it tells them exactly which bacteria are in the patient, how much of it, and what bacteria might be missing. Dr. Purna Kashyap and his team found more than 1,000 different species in the intestines of the healthiest people. Very important considering 80% of our immune system resides there.
All of our guts have different kinds of bacteria. And the more different kinds of bacteria we have, it's more diverse. And the less different kinds of bacteria we have, it's less diverse. And so, as you can imagine, if you have more different kinds of bacteria, that's generally considered to be good for us because they will be able to tackle intruders much better than if you have less different kinds of bacteria.
In addition to the variety, the healthiest people also measure high amounts. Trillions of good bacteria and some bad, all total 3 pounds worth, 10 times more bacteria than regular cells. Dr. Heidi Nelson sees this as a complex and delicate ecosystem that demands balance.
We think of the microbiome in the gut like a little bit like a garden. You have to tend to, you have to weed it, you have to put seeds in, you have to water it. There's a lot of things you do. It's not usually one thing.
Since, like all living creatures, bacteria eat and expel certain things. Dr. Nelson explains why having too many or too few can lead to disaster.
If you have a buildup of certain bad nutrients, let's take, for example, hydrogen sulfide. We know that some bacteria produce hydrogen sulfide and others remove it and use it. But if you have too much hydrogen sulfide, that could, in some people, be the cause of the break of DNA that starts the chain reaction of colon cancer developing.
Not enough good bacteria or too many bad can make us sick and overweight. According to Johns Hopkins gastroenterologist Dr. Gerard Mullen, author of The Gut Balance Revolution, certain bacteria increase ghrelin, the hormone that causes hunger.
And when the gut microbiome is in a state of disruption, then we actually have a higher appetite and we crave more food.
Certain bad bacteria can also cause the body to crave particular foods like sugar or bread. Similarly, gut dysbiosis suppresses leptin, the hormone that tells us to stop eating. And it gets worse.
The gut microbiome also changes the way we metabolize fiber in foods and can make us absorb more of our calories in foods in an unhealthy gut environment.
A newly discovered bacteria can possibly determine whether someone is either slim or obese. In fact, research proves thin people carry more diverse gut bacteria than overweight people. Scientists found people in developing countries have more of this bacteria than Americans.
There's inflammation that occurs when we have an unhealthy balance of gut bacteria. It could really lead to injury in the gut, a more permeable gut, which some people call leaky gut. And therefore, when that inflammation becomes more systemic, then we get insulin resistance and we accumulate fat more readily.
In a landmark development, researchers at Washington University in St. Louis studied gut microbiomes from human twins. While they had identical DNA, one was obese and the other thin. Scientists took bacteria from each twin and put it into germ-free mice. The animals with the obese twins microbiome also became obese, while the other mice became thinner. Researchers noted the thin human and mice carried more diverse bacteria than their heavier counterparts.
There's a lot of associations with the microbiome and in children and the increased incidence of obesity and metabolic syndrome amongst the pediatric population.
All right, Terry, I got to ask the
my
question.
table's falling here.
Yeah. Just ignore it. We're talking about important things here.
Okay, I know.
How's your gut?
My macrobiomes are in a state of disruption.
Macro or micro? Micro.
Well, I'm hoping they're macro because I want to be the skinny mouse. I don't want to.
Yeah, but who knew that, it's the secret to weight loss. And,
Yeah.
I've been following this for a while. I've been trying to take care of my gut bacteria and eating the kimchi and the yogurt with live cultures and all that kind of stuff.
Wow, you're good.
I'm really trying because I'd gone, as you know, I had flu. I was like 3-4 years ago.
Yes.
I kept having recurring, and so I had all these antibiotics going through my system, and I had to rebuild it.
Well, it's good to know it's rebuildable.
Right.
I mean, that's
You can fix this.
Yeah, you can fix this. And I think the study with the identical twins was fascinating and should be something worthy of note, and that we can do something that matters about it. And we've got it all right here for you. We have a free booklet available for you. It's called Build a Better Gut. Catchy. To get a copy for yourself, all you have to do is dial this toll-free number, 1-800-700-7000. You can order it online. Just log on to cbn.com and download the booklet there. Plus, you can stream the entire 4-part Build a Better Gut series and get bonus information. It's all at cbn.com. Really encourage you to do this. I'm glad you're doing that. That's great.
Who knew kimchi could be so much fun?
Yeah, well, kombucha.
I haven't tried the kombucha, but
I do.
Kimchi, and then really
kimchi,
focusing on a lot of vegetables in your diet.
Is kimchi hot?
You can get mild, actually, and you can get kimchi that in a health food store you can get without any heat at all. So,
okay.
Or you can make your own.
That would be, and your job would be to supply me with that. Just saying.
Just get some cabbage, a little salt, a little vinegar, and let it sit for 3 days and see what happens.
Okay, usually that goes out with the garbage on Thursday night, but whatever.
All right, we're going to leave the gut and go to something very serious. Coming up, she went from victim to survivor to overcomer. Hear one woman's story of healing and freedom after 20 years in an abusive marriage. Dr. Ramona Probasco joins us live. That's up next.
Nearly 1 out of every 4 women in America has been the victim of domestic violence. It's an epidemic that can happen to anyone, regardless of race, education, religion, or status. Dr. Ramona Probasco knows these facts by heart because she was once a victim herself.
Ramona Probasco married Ben at the age of 19. Their honeymoon phase was short-lived, and the starry-eyed teen soon became the black-eyed wife. In her book, Healing Well and Living Free from an Abusive Relationship, Dr. Ramona shares how she found true healing after 20 years of violence.
As you walk out these practical, not easy, but practical steps, you're becoming your strongest self.
And offers contagious hope and concrete steps to getting through and out of an abusive situation.
Dr. Ramona Probasco joins us now. We welcome you to the program.
Thank you, Terry.
The title of your book is Healing Well and Living Free from an Abusive Relationship, from Victim to Survivor to Overcomer. After 20 years in an abusive relationship, what was it that made you finally say, I'm done?
Well, I had to work through a lot of faulty thinking that I had surrounding my faith and what I believed God's perspective is on abuse and marriage and divorce. And so with the support of some wonderful counselors, a terrific church, and family and friends, I eventually, in a sense, educated myself out.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned faith and church. We should mention that you did your dissertation?
Yes.
On this, the occurrence of this particular issue within the church,
yes.
which, a lot of people would say, well, how can that be? But it's prevalent, isn't it?
It is. And as a matter of fact, I studied over 500 women from a mega church here in the United States. And then I also surveyed 30 churches across the U.S. to see what they're doing in response to this issue. And what my research indicated is that what's happening outside of the church is also taking place in the church. So yes, you're right. The prevalence rates are the same or similar.
Well, let's go back to your situation. What were the first signs that you saw that Ben, your husband, was an abuser?
Well, when I look back to our dating years, because we dated approximately 3 years, there definitely was indication of disrespect, name calling, some verbal abuse, not keeping promises, and, just an overall disrespect for me and my boundaries.
So you grew up in a family where you hadn't experienced that in the same way that you did in your marriage. I think for a lot of people, they just maybe make excuses for a while. I mean, is that what you did?
Well, yes, I didn't want to call it abuse. I didn't have the language for it. You
were young.
We got married very young. And honestly, I thought if I just pray hard enough, try hard enough, do the right things, that this will stop, Ben will change, and we'll live happily ever after.
Yeah, I can love this out of him.
That's my phrase. That I really believed I could love him into wellness. And people have to want to be well.
Yeah. Well, they have to know they have a problem.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
That's right.
You say in the book that abuse is not an anger issue, it's an entitlement issue. That was really startling to me. Talk about that.
Abuse is not driven by anger. Now, a person can look angry, they can even feel angry, but what drives abuse is a mentality, primarily driven by entitlement and lack of empathy.
Wow.
So because we all get angry, right? I mean,
sure, we don't all evidence
I get upset, but we don't abuse
yes.
people. So we all get angry, we don't all abuse. Abuse is a choice.
What are some myths that exist about people who are in abusive relationships?
That's a fantastic question, and there's a lot of them. For instance, people will say, well, he or she had a bad childhood, and so therefore now they're taking it out on me. And that the link between a painful childhood and domestic violence is very weak, because most people who grow up in a situation where they're experiencing abuse feel empathy, they feel compassion. They don't want to reoffend. That's the last thing they want to do. So, or things like it's circumstantial. He or she lost their job, or they have a difficult boss, or
something that excuses it away.
Right.
Yeah. Therefore, not dealing with it. I want to talk a little bit about leaving safely, because I think whenever I hear the story of someone who's trapped in one of these scenarios, whether it's by their own hand or some other set of circumstances, I think, well, it's scary to leave, especially if you have children. Sometimes they're put in the middle of what's going on between the two adults. How does one leave safely from an abusive relationship?
Well, that's a very good question, because abusers, first of all, don't allow themselves to be left easily. And statistically, the fatality rate goes up by 75% when a person attempts to leave. So the most dangerous time is when you try to leave. So safety planning is critical.
So you don't just say you're going to leave and then sit for a while you process.
If you're in a situation where you are feeling imminent danger, of course, you need to leave. There's no time, in a sense, to plan. But if there is time to plan, a wise safety plan is very, very important. I have that on my website where I walk people through the steps to prepare to leave, when they leave, and actually after they leave.
Speaking of after they leave, one of the things you write a great deal about in the book is the importance of forgiveness, not for the other person as much as for you in being totally set free.
Yes, yes. Forgiveness is a huge part of healing well.
Yeah.
But I always tell people, that they're not on anyone's timetable, that the Holy Spirit is working in each of our lives. And so forgiveness is not something we have to do, it's something we get to do.
Yes.
And ultimately it frees us from that power, that control that individual had over us. And then of course, forgiving ourselves is a huge part.
And probably the hardest.
It was for me, and it is for most.
Yeah, but there is life
after
all of this.
Yes.
Tell me about Tim.
Oh, yes, my sweetie. He is wonderful. And I truly believe that we attract where we're at. And that's not to be a shame-based statement, but I worked for many years. I stepped out of private practice and I went to counseling, and I did the healing well that I write about in the book. And I really believe that I met him because I did that work and he did his own work. And so I'm so blessed. I mean, I wake up every day to a hot cup of coffee.
Wow.
It's a dream.
How wonderful. How wonderful. Should mention you're married to Tim. You have a wonderful life now, and that life is available to others as well. That's so important for you to hear that. If you're in a relationship where you're dealing with or exposed to abuse, you need to know there's hope on the other side of that. Dr. Ramona Probasco's book is called Healing Well and Living Free from an Abusive Relationship. It is available nationwide. Highly recommended. Thank you. So good to have you here. Bless you. Gordon?
Still ahead, there are a group that's bringing aid to Holocaust victims, the families of soldiers, and also helping Jews around the world return to their homeland. The woman behind the largest philanthropic organization in Israel joins us live, so don't go away. Well, fighting poverty, providing security, and bringing the Jewish people home. These are some of the ways the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews is easing suffering around the world. Take a look.
Since 1983, the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews has built bridges of cooperation around the world, along with broad support for the State of Israel. Whether it's rescuing persecuted Christians in the Middle East, getting help to elderly Jews in Russia, or providing needed medicine to Holocaust survivors in Israel, the fellowship, as it's known, is there, reaching the desperate, lonely, and forgotten. Today, Yael Eckstein, Rabbi Eckstein's daughter and global vice president of the fellowship, carries on the family tradition of helping Israel and Jews worldwide.
Well, it's great having you here, and it's great to see someone else carrying on the family tradition.
Thank you.
And I know it was I guess it's a struggle for you, isn't it? I know it is for me.
Which part?
To fill the shoes.
It's big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
What I've realized is that I'm never going to fill those shoes. I have to start my own story.
You got your own shoes.
Yeah, I can't try to be my father because I never will. I'll never be him as good as he is him. That all I could do is learn from him and pray that I'll have God lay out my own mission just as he did for my father.
Yeah. My father's shoes are real big. He's a size 13. So I don't have that. For you, where's the fellowship going right now? What do you see in the future?
Well, we're in a new reality now, Gordon, as you know, that we no longer have to fight for this concept of Jews and Christians being bridged. It's kind of being Christian is in a way synonymous now with being pro-Israel and standing with the Jewish people. Right. And at every Shabbat table amongst Jews, you hear them talking about the Christians who love us and who they met that week and the preaching that they saw that week that was all about Israel. That we've become we've merited, I think, the ability to celebrate in this brotherhood. that many people have worked very hard for, including my father and including your father. And so what I see now is the next stage, reaching out to the next generation. We know there is assimilation amongst Jews and Christians in the next generation. More Christians are not going to church in the next generation.
Yeah.
The next generation of Christians didn't see the establishment of the state of Israel. They don't recognize necessarily how prophetic it is, how godly it is. They didn't see all the Arab countries.
Or how important it is.
Or how important it is. And so I look at our mission now in the moving forward the next 10 years is educating the next generation of Christians and Jews why they should stand with Israel, why Jews and Christians need to be stronger now than ever before. I mean, the founding fathers of America laid out the Judeo-Christian values. They realized that we have more in common than we have not in common. And so I see us really going full circle, returning to our roots, you know, as Christians grafted into that rich olive tree, and as Jews returning to this Judeo-Christian values, recognizing that we brought something to the world, but that there are these people that have tapped into it and clung on to it, and we have to really be there to celebrate this brotherhood. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. You know what that means?
I have no idea.
How good and pleasant it is
For
when
brothers to dwell in unity. That's where he commands the blessing. I like to tell Christians the longer I'm a Christian, the more Jewish I become. That you can't be a Christian and ignore the Torah. You can't ignore the festivals. You should go through a Seder service. You should celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles. The prayers at Yom Kippur are prayers for all mankind for all time. And there's a lot of illumination there. And if you don't understand those roots, if you don't understand the Seder, you do not understand the Last Supper.
That is exactly what actually I've been talking about in this speaking tour that I'm on now. If somebody loves Jesus, they should want to know what he was studying, what he was practicing, the holidays that he was celebrating.
The weekly Torah's readings that he was reading.
Exactly. That's interesting what you say, and it's spot on. In order for Christians to become better Christians, they have to understand Jews.
Now, the fellowship has resources for Christians if they're interested, right?
Correct.
It's all available free on the website.
Yes, we have Learn Hebrew on our website. We could learn about the feasts, what a woman of valor is, what's a woman or a man's place in the family, especially in this modern world, to learn all about Israel and the biblical prophecies that are coming to fruition today and where we hope to go. There are a lot of resources for Christians to discover those roots and learn more about it. That unfortunately was taken from the Christian faith because of corruption and all different problems throughout history. That I really see this as directly from God, that he's putting on the Christian community's hearts the desire to return to those roots. That's from God, Gordon.
Yeah. And another thing I tell Christians is every book of the New Testament. I grew up thinking maybe Luke was written by a Gentile, but no. Every book in the New Testament, there's a Jewish author behind all of them, writing from the perspective of first century Jewish tradition.
Yeah.
And they assumed their readers knew it.
I always say it's kind of like when my children wake up in the morning, and if they're in a really good mood, I'm like, okay, what happened that you're in such a good mood? Or if they're in a really bad mood, what happened that you're in a really bad mood? In order to understand my children, I have to know what they went through, what they're exposed to, what they're reading, what they're watching, what their friends said. And it's very similar to what you're saying. All the early disciples were Jewish. And if you want to understand them, then you have to understand, what were they studying? What were they reading? What were they praying? What were they doing? That it's very true. And the fellowship, I think, is in a unique position to really bridge the Jewish and Christian communities in respect, making Christians better Christians and Jews better Jews. We're not trying to change anyone. We're trying just to return everyone to their roots so that they could become stronger in their faith.
One of the things I'm discovering is within Judaism, it is a part of everyday life, and it is a part of the family. The family is the source of Jewish tradition and the primary place where Jewish tradition is transmitted generationally. Yeah. And it's not just on Shabbat. It's
Correct.
Every single day. You've written a book that I love to cook. You obviously seem to like it too because you've written a book about it, where you call it spiritual cooking.
Yeah.
Why that type?
I believe, Gordon, there's no such thing as mundane. If you're a person of faith, you don't separate being in a synagogue or a church with being in the mall. You could integrate God into everything that you do. And as people of faith, we are commanded to integrate God into everything we do. Using the example, like you said, I wake up with my children. First thing I say is Modeh Ani, a prayer thanking God for giving us back our soul and reaffirming that He believes in us. If we got our soul back, it means you believe in us, God, and we're gonna make the best of this day. And before we put food in our mouth, we make a prayer thanking God for the food. God could be integrated into everything. And I started to see kind of some of my friends and mothers and the community that I'm part of, sometimes like, oh my gosh, the kids have to eat again. Like, didn't they just eat?
That's common.
And
you mean lunch is here?
Exactly. And so I realized, no, then you're not getting it. Also, that could be a godly experience. That could also be part of a meditation. That could be part of, if you put kavanah, a Hebrew word for intention, and a lot of things in Judaism is kavanah. If you put kavanah to cooking, then suddenly cooking is holy.
All right, we're going to have to do a cooking show together. We're out of time. If you want more information about the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, just go to their website, ifcj.org. Here's a word for you from Psalms. The Lord gives His people strength. The Lord blesses them with shalom. God bless you. We'll see you again.